Welcome, welcome. This is Marnie. I'm here today with my guest, Jackie McKool, and you are in for some good stuff. We're going to be talking about Beyond Disease, Embracing Health as a Path to Purpose. We're going to be talking about the difference between disease management and health restoration, how to define holistic health from a biblical perspective, the purpose of health, and why yours matters. Root causes as the keys to optimal health, 5 foundational pieces needed for optimum health, and why knowing how to hear God's voice is vital to your health. Jackie McKool is a speaker, author, teacher, and functional medicine doctor. She is a chiropractic internist and the author of Are You Being Deceived About Wellness? Her purpose is to educate and empower communities on holistic health and wellness. You can learn more about her over at jackiemckool.com and also invite her to speak via womenspeakers.com. I'm so excited to welcome you here now. Yay. Hi, Jackie.
Hey, Marnie, how are you?
Good. It's so great to have you here. And I've been looking forward to this. Yeah. And I know you told me you got in late in the middle of the night from a traveling outing. And so grateful that you're here.
Yes, me too. Thank you.
I want to dive right in. We got a lot of great stuff to cover right now. This is health, wellness, disease. These are big topics. Right now, everybody's in the news, with the new administration and everything. And we're having conversations that maybe we haven't had before. And I'm so excited to have you here and to shed some light on some of the foundational things that you have come to understand in your practice. And so let's just dive right in and tell us what the difference is between health restoration and just disease management.
Most of us are familiar with the disease management. It's what we've been brought up with, that we go to the medical doctor for everything. That's a great place to go if we have an acute, short-lived disease, maybe pink eye or strep throat or something like that. Okay, go and get some medication and back on down the road. But really these buzzwords these days, especially, is the difference is the chronic degenerative diseases. Disease management is just that. And this is nothing against conventional medicine, but that's what they're trained to do.
Right.
To help you manage these diseases, primarily with medications and perhaps even surgeries. But my heart and passion is to reveal and enlighten people on another choice that they have. That's really, at best, confusing to people. They don't really know what it is. And that's that health restoration or holistic health and restoring the body back to good health. The big difference is that the holistic health restoration is looking at the root cause. What is causing the problem? Don't just address the symptoms, but let's find the root and then work towards restoring the body back to good health. And everybody is different as far as what that approach would take.
So one of the things that I have heard is that the body doesn't really tell you it's in trouble until you're quite a way down the road.
Yes.
Like it's God built us to be able to keep functioning while things are starting to go very awry.
Yes.
And I love the idea of getting ahead of that and being proactive instead of waiting until you see the signs of cancer or diabetes or whatever, but jumping ahead of that.
That's correct.
Talk to us about that just a bit.
And that's exactly right. Is the symptoms or just the tip of the iceberg? We all probably have seen that iceberg all under the, huge under the water, and all we see is that little tip. And symptoms, again, are the last thing to show up, but it definitely is our body's way of telling us something's wrong. The challenge is we're not paying attention to those little minute symptoms, that any little thing, and that's not to say we run to the doctor just because we have an ache one day, but you start paying attention to that. And you're able to, when you're listening to your body, then you can, when you have the knowledge of this, you can take the tools that we need to go, wait a minute, I got off track with my water or my exercise or my sleep or whatever it is, and I need to get back onto that. So there's a big difference with that. And you're right. God did make, our bodies are amazing. I mean, going through chiropractic school and my postdoctoral classes, and continuing to learn, it never ceases to amaze me how just one little cell has so much function. but we also have learned to adapt. Our bodies
Yeah,
have learned
right,
to adapt to those things.
right.
And we get too busy and push it by the wayside and tough it out and ignore it. And yeah, that'll end up getting us in trouble.
I always say proactive versus reactive, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
so talk about holistic health, but do it from a biblical perspective for us.
Okay. I like to even spell the word holistic with a
Mm,
W rather than an H.
yes.
And it's because it spells out the word whole. And Jesus made us, God made us healthy and whole, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I just did a recent blog series, actually. This started at the beginning of the year on Jesus lived a holistic life. And I just broke it down bit by bit.
Mm.
It would stand to reason that if Jesus did a lot of walking, the only time in the Bible that I know that he rode was on a donkey one time, right? And so he walked everywhere.
Mm,
Did he drink water when he was 40 days in the desert with his fasting?
mhm,
He was here on earth as a human, and there's
mhm,
no record of any human. Now we know he was God, but he lived as a human. That there was any record of anybody being able to live, but more than a week without water. So Jesus probably drank water too, even though it wasn't stated. He sat at the well and asked the woman to give him water. So he rested. I mean, he is rest. He is
mhm.
water. This is how he's
Right,
described in the
right.
Bible as that. And if
Mm,
he's to be our example, let's
yeah,
follow that. You know?
yeah. Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, he's the living water and he's the breath
Yeah.
of life. And yeah, he
Yeah.
is our
He
peace. Yeah, I love it, love
He
it, love
lived
it.
a balanced life. He
Yeah.
took time to rest and spent time with the Father and prayer
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
communication and community and connection. All of it. It's
yeah.
all holistic.
You
Yeah.
have a passion to see people healthy because it matters so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Why, I think we all have our own ideas here, but why, from your perspective, is being healthy so important?
Listen, Marnie, every single one of us have a unique divine purpose and reason for being here on this earth. And God has assigned that purpose to us.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to be, if we're not behind the pulpit in a big church ministry somewhere, that we don't have a purpose. No, every single one of us have a special
Yeah.
purpose. And if one person isn't being able to fulfill that purpose optimally, and especially those of us in the church, because we're sick and unhealthy, and especially with those chronic diseases, everyone else suffers as a result of that. If just one cell is out of balance in the body, even if it might not be noticeable to us outwardly, our bodies aren't functioning 100%. And every single one of us are like that one cell in the body of
Mm,
Christ.
mhm.
And if we're not there to fulfill
Love it.
our purpose
Mhm.
to the optimum, we all suffer. We all fall just a little short. We then can't fulfill ours just a little
Mhm.
fully,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a beautiful way to think about it.
So important.
Yeah. So take us to some root causes.
Okay. I was flying back from Reno last night, and I think it might have even been a divine appointment, sitting next to this gal on the plane that she works for some, like a wellness company for corporate wellness, and so it could maybe go somewhere there. But she said she was very interested, and she said, "Let me ask you, what do you think about?" She mentioned some supplement that was a fruit, you know. And I said, I don't even know what that is. I'm sure all these kind of things are being promoted out there and it might
Yeah.
be beneficial. But as an example, I told her, I said, it's not what do you take, it's what do you do.
Hmm.
And it's not just even masking the symptom with even a natural supplement. Supplements are beneficial, but they should just be there to supplement our healthy diet and lifestyle and everything holistic. And so let's look for the root cause of that, not just address those symptoms. I mean, it could be anything. Well, I'm very big on the adrenal glands and stress. And inflammation is the common denominator of all
Hmm.
chronic degenerative diseases.
Hmm.
What is, let's just take female hormones. Oh, should I take a hormone replacement? Well, I don't know, because I don't know why your hormones are out of balance. Let's
Hmm.
search that out first. And the adrenals release a hormone called cortisol, that in these chemical pathways that are always flowing in the body, cortisol's upstream of our reproductive hormones. And the adrenal glands can get overworked and out of balance, that they can't release that cortisol in the right amount, whether too high or too low, because of all these stresses that we're subjecting the adrenals to. And they're releasing that hormone in response to that. Not just mental emotional stresses, but physical stresses like not sleeping well, having surgery, and then chemical stresses, the foods we eat, the air we breathe, the water we drink. So we need to look at the health as a whole, and even determine we might have a physical health challenge, but the root might lie in one of these other arenas. Maybe we're always an angry person. Could that cause our blood pressure to go up? You know? And of course, can be a spiritual component as well. Are we burning the candle at both ends? This gal I was sitting next to is telling me that she was working 60, 70, and 80 hours a week. She loves her job, but that is just way too much. That's out of balance.
Yeah.
And are we burning the candle at both ends? That's what I describe as the mental health, my management, budget, career, goal setting, our purpose in life.
Tell me what you would say to the person who heard you just say all of that and says, I think I'm pretty hopeless. I have too many of those factors going on in my life. I don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
What would you say?
You know what? It's never too late. I describe it as a spectrum of health. Here's 100% health. Here's 99% disease, 100% would be good. We go to conventional medicine, doc, because we finally respond to these symptoms that we're experiencing. And either they say, oh yeah, your lab work tells us that you're diseased, take this drug, or they give the impression that you're healthy. Oh, nothing wrong here. Let's go here. And you're walking out going, wait a minute, something's not right. And that's overlooking this whole big place. Now, some of us might be here on this disease end of the spectrum. But it's never too late. It's never too late to start moving towards this direction and restoring the body back to good health using natural approaches. We could just manage the disease, or we could do nothing. If we do nothing, we're definitely going to be right down
going the wrong direction. Yeah, the body just kind of does go that wrong direction.
It does, because we're not stagnant beings.
Yeah, right.
If we're stagnant, we're dead. If we don't do anything, it is going to age quicker, depending on our lifestyle choices that we make.
Yeah.
It's never too late.
I want to hunker down here on the 5 foundational pieces needed for optimum health. I'd like you to give them all to us, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then let's go back and break it down a little.
Okay. In the physical part of the health pie, the 5 foundational pieces are rest, water, exercise, good nutrition, and good nerve supply.
So the last one was neuro or nerve?
Nerve
supply.
Nerve supply.
Well, I want to start with the last one first, because I'm not familiar with that.
And most people aren't. That's a good place to start. And that is a part that is quite often overlooked. And as a chiropractor, I would absolutely be remiss in not talking about this. People think that chiropractic care is about back and neck pain, that would be the only reason to go to a chiropractor. That's what insurance covers, and that's what maybe some chiropractors advertise as. But that's not what the benefit of receiving regular chiropractic care. That when the bones in our spine just get slightly misaligned, even just a millimeter of a shift, it puts pressure on the spinal nerves that are coming out in between those vertebrae. And we could just be talking about just the weight of a dime is enough pressure on those nerves to decrease the nerve impulses by 40%.
Wow.
And those nerves, just like the trunk of a tree, they branch and branch and branch. They go down to every cell, tissue, organ, and system of the body receives nerve supply. If we were trying to water our garden to make it grow and we stepped on it or drove over it with our car and only little trickles coming out, we'd be scratching our head going, why is my garden not growing? Not understanding that it's not getting the full flow. This is our electrical nerve communication impulses. It's the electrical, like think about the electricity in our house. This is the electricity in our body. And if there's a short there, the body's not functioning optimally. And we don't, tip of the iceberg, we don't even feel it many years before. And all kinds of things can cause these misalignments. poor posture, poor sleeping habits, strenuous exercise, injuring ourselves at work or at home or at play, automobile accidents, even the birthing process. And especially if it was a C-section birth. But our little head gets twisted and turned even in a natural birth. Babies that get checked, if there's a chiropractor out there that has children and they didn't check their baby's spine day one, shame on them, because that can be the start.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. Okay, take us back to number 1.
Okay, so rest.
Yeah.
And I love Dr. Sandra Dalton Smith's book on sacred rest. Like she really elaborates even more on that. But I talk about sleep in particular. Our body is the only time that it can heal or repair itself is whenever it's sleeping. We have old cells dying every day, and we got to get rid of those. It's just as one example of all the repairing it does. But it can only do that while we're sleeping. And the optimum time that the body does that is between 10 o'clock at night and midnight. And people that are going to bed way past 10 o'clock, like I did last night, the body is, it's still doing some healing, but it's not the optimum.
Yeah, you missed it.
We absolutely. And that is stress to the body. Again, all of this I'm talking about is chronic. It's not just missing one night of sleep. It's this chronic stuff, right?
Yeah.
The second one is water. 4 main organs or systems of the body that the body detoxifies itself is 50% of the body's waste should be eliminated through the kidneys, 25% through the skin, 23% through the lungs, and only 2% of the body's natural waste should be eliminated through the colon. If we have a good, healthy daily bowel movement like we should, and that's only 2%, can you imagine how much we really should be peeing? 50% out of the kidneys, but all 4 of those need water. And if we're not giving our bodies enough water, and most people are walking around not enough water and dehydrated, then those toxins and waste are staying in the body, causing inflammation, the common denominator of all chronic diseases.
Speak to electrolytes for just a moment.
Well, the electrolytes are very, very important, and we could be deficient in that. And those are what's keeping that fluid levels balanced, that are the electrical charges across the nervous system are needing that. And we could be dehydrated if we're not drinking the right water. And I'm talking water, not liquids. But if we're not drinking the right form of water that can be deficient in those electrolytes, is where we, get some of that water, or where the water is holding some of those electrolytes. So, and then our food, they're very, very important to the body.
So we had rest, we had water. Is the next one nutrition?
Exercise. And of course, people think, we are too short-sighted on our goals, all these different kind of diets out there. And if we think we have to exercise, and a lot of people don't even like that. And that short-sighted goal is weight loss. Now, we need to have a healthy, balanced weight, but that is way too short-sighted. And exercise is way more benefits to that. Cardiovascular health, of course, we know that as well, and that is important. Of course, we want to be a healthy weight, but even conventional medicine will say that exercise is a much better antidepressant than a drug is. Get out and I say stress is my fuel, and I'm like Forrest Gump. I just keep running and that fuel, where that stress wears out, and it's like, whew, okay, I love my jogging or my power walking time is with Jesus. Like, I just feel like I hear his voice clearest, but it's like, don't let me forget it until I get home, Lord. Remind me.
Right.
So, and the lymphatic system in our body is like the sewage system in our body, and it needs the muscles to contract that lymph to get that waste out of the body is another reason. So all kinds of benefits to get our metabolism going.
Okay, the last one is nutrition.
That's correct. Yes. And we can really be either putting something of value in our mouths or not of value. I had a conversation not too long ago with a friend that she was struggling with some health challenges, and I was talking about her diet and the adrenals in particular. And she's like, oh, well, I'm really trying to drink, more water and doing better with this and that. And I said, yeah, but what else are you putting in that isn't of value? And it's like canned foods. And again, this is the big issue that's coming out with RFK Jr. He's not trying to tell people you can't eat McDonald's, like he said. He's not saying that. He just wants people, and that's what I want too, is people to understand what you're putting into your body. And it's either a value or it's not a value. Good building blocks or weak building blocks. Would you want to build your house with weak materials? Because that's what we are, as our body is the temple of the living God. And this is only one body that we have. Do we want to make a lousy house out of it? Or do we want to, because what we're giving our bodies is the only thing it has to work with. It doesn't create electrolytes or vitamins or minerals on its own. We have to give it to it. And it takes it to make the good cells and everything, the tissues and organs and systems of the body. It's our building blocks. We literally are what we eat. It's just that simple. And we do not want to believe that.
Your last thing that we want to cover here is why hearing God's voice is vital to your health. And I think before we dive into that, when did this become a truth that you understood? Like, most of us, we just go along, and all of a sudden there's this aha moment where we just go, oh, I see it. I never saw it before like that. You had at some point an aha moment where you realized hearing from God was vital to your health, your physical health.
And my life, yes.
And your life.
I was a fairly new baby Christian still as I set up my practice. And I thought I could hear God's voice. Listen, the enemy talks to us all the time and we listen to him. Tells us we're stupid and we're dumb and we're ugly and, whatever those lies are. And we walk around believing it. How much more does the living God that has created us want to speak to us? And he does speak to us. He does. So just know that for certain. He does. And I knew that. I knew that he spoke to me. Well, still new baby Christian. And I was pining over this man in my life. And I'll always remember, Marnie, my hands raised in praise and worship on a Wednesday night worship service in Charleston, South Carolina. And I thought for certain God told me I was going to marry this man. Well, long story short, he was leading a double life. He was not who I thought he was. And thank God for unanswered prayers, that he showed me that. The Lord guarded me from that. But I was deflated. I thought, gosh, I know God talks to me, but I don't trust that I was able to hear him.
Right.
And shortly after that, Dr. Mark Berkler has a book, 4 Steps to Hearing God's Voice. And it's so simple. And we're not about formulas. But here was what I learned from him was, first, quiet yourself down. Another reason for that rest. Quiet yourself down. Picture yourself with Jesus or Papa God. Be open to spontaneous thought and vision. He speaks to us that way. And then write it down, what you saw, what you heard. Now, if there's major decisions in life, you don't just run out and do it based on that. You then get confirmation and so on. But here's the key that was vital to me, and that was the turning point. I was picturing myself with an idol. With that night, I had my hands in praise and worship. I was picturing myself with this man rather than with Jesus. And I was praying through an idol.
Interesting.
It was key. It was when we're praying, whatever we're praying for, somebody's salvation or their healing or whatever, don't picture them. It's almost witchcraft. We need to picture ourselves with Jesus. And then you start writing it down. And I just, it's just powerful.
So good. So what's coming to my mind when you're saying those things, because I think all of us who have had an experience like yours, where it's like, I thought for sure you told me. Yes. Well, that's very different. That's hard on our faith.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Then we start doubting that God's really talking to us and that he wants to tell us and that he's faithful. All these things start coming in play. But I think it goes back to Romans 8, 6a and 7, or 6b and 7a again. The mindset on the flesh is hostile toward God. The mindset on the spirit is life and peace. And just coming deeper and deeper myself into, the flesh part is here, always here. It's all, we have bodies. Yes. We feel things. We have things to do, bills to pay, all this kind of thing. But yet, while we have all this, when our mind is focused on this. It is not focused on God. And
Yes.
I think the part of that verse, that set of verses that really struck me was it's actually hostile toward God.
Yes.
And hostile means like an enemy of, an attacker, a combatant. And I think what happens in prayer, and I'd love your feedback on this, but we don't have very many minutes left. But I think what happens in prayer is that when we get our mind on an outcome that we really want,
Yes. Yes.
that becomes that idol then. And
Yes.
it isn't that God doesn't answer our prayers
Right.
or that he doesn't love us. It's that we have made something else
Yes.
the
Yes.
focus of the prayer, not God.
Yes. Yes. And then, so to hear his voice, you know, to what is my purpose, Lord? And there was a lot of confirmation there on that over, you know, just over time, and continuing confirmation. And also, you know, Lord, show me what the root is of this health challenge that I have, or who should I go and seek out a practitioner? A lot of these things we can do on our own, but sometimes we might need somebody to walk alongside of us.
Right.
We need a functional medicine practitioner to walk alongside of us, though, if we want to get to the root cause, if we want to manage the disease, and we stay with our medical doctor. But now we need discernment on who to go to in the functional world. And sometimes those can be new agey in that world. And so we want to be very careful and have our discernment and ask the Lord. And we don't want just anybody laying hands on us in that
Good
world.
word there. Yeah, good word there.
Absolutely.
You know, I keep for myself, I keep reminding God and reminding myself mostly at the same time that he is my great physician.
Yes. Yes.
And whatever he prescribes for me to do, that's what I want to do.
That's right. That's
and we want to really ask him, is this the doctor I'm supposed to go to? Is this the drug I'm supposed to take?
Yes.
You know, recently I had a terrible flu, and I was my lungs I was hard to breathe. I went into the urgent care, and they gave me two things. And when I got home, I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to use this one, but not this one.
Right.
The other one I simply put in a drawer and I did not use. Keep listening to Jesus.
That's right.
He is your great physician. And of course he uses other people all the time.
Yes.
Praise God. But he also wants to manage your health care.
That's right. That's right. Eat the foods that he made, not that man made.
There you go. There you go. That's the simple answer.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you guys totally want to go over and check out Jackie's website. It is Jackie McKool, McKool, great name, .com. And Jackie, what are they going to find over there?
Well, you'll find different presentations. If you're looking for a speaker, you can find that information. My blogs are there. I write a blog every week. And like I said, I just did that series on Jesus living a holistic life. One did on pride. You know, is it our flesh that's saying what to do, or God? But so all kinds of blogs are there, and other interviews talking on different subjects. And just it's a live and active website that it's always changing. So come on over and visit, and you'll find this recording there as well.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for being here, Jackie.
Yes, Marnie, thank you. And thank you for having me.
Thanks you guys for joining us. Can't have a show without you guys here to support us. And I just pray for your heart and your mind and also your body. We can't serve God without a body. Well, we can be with him forever, but there's things we can only do here. Like, for example, the sacrifice of praise. We won't have any of that in heaven. It'll just be easy come. But here we have the opportunity to praise him in the hard times. And I just encourage you, the longer your body is here, the longer you can serve him here. So keep shining bright for Jesus, and thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful time. Have a wonderful time. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time. There we go.